Right now, we are in the middle of one of the biggest projects in human history. We're trying to create intelligence that can not only think like a human, but eventually think on a scale that's, well, almost impossible to wrap our heads around. So yeah, in this explainer, we're going to dive into the race to build gods in silicon.
But here's the thing. This incredible leap forward, it's just slammed headfirst into a really old, really physical wall. I'm talking about a problem that could literally stop the AI revolution dead in its tracks. So that's the big question we're asking today. What happens when our digital dreams need more juice than our physical world can actually give them?
All right, so let's get into it. To really grasp the size of this problem, we've got to be super clear about what the end goal even is. Because look, we're not just talking about making chatbots that are a little less annoying. Nope, we're talking about two totally different, world-changing ideas, AGI and ASI.
So on one hand, you've got AGI, that's artificial general intelligence. The easiest way to think about this is like a human in silicon. It's an AI that can learn and do basically any intellectual job a top-tier human expert can. But then you have ASI, artificial superintelligence, and that is a whole different ballgame. This is the god in silicon, an intelligence so far beyond ours that, honestly, we'd look like ants in comparison. That's the level we're talking about.
And you want to know the really wild part? It's the timeline. The experts, the folks at places like OpenAI and DeepMind, they think the jump from that human in silicon to the god in silicon could happen, well, terrifyingly fast. We're talking hours, maybe a couple of years. Why? Because they're worried about this thing called a recursive self-improvement loop. That's where the AI starts upgrading itself over and over at a speed that's just exponential, way faster than any human could ever hope to keep up with, let alone control.
So this unbelievable ambition? It's hitting a brick wall, hard. For years, everybody thought the big hurdle to AGI was going to be software, or getting enough data, or maybe making the chips fast enough. But nope. A huge, totally unexpected bottleneck has popped up. And guess what? It's not digital at all. It's physical.
And this quote from Elon Musk, it just nails the new reality we're in. The problem isn't about making the brains for AI anymore. Not at all. I mean, you've got companies like NVIDIA cranking out billions upon billions of dollars worth of these super advanced GPUs. For the first time ever, the real problem is just turning them on. We can't power them.
Yeah, it really all boils down to this one simple fact. The single biggest thing holding back the creation of a godlike AI isn't some complex algorithm. It's the humble electrical grid. Okay, so how much power are we actually talking about here? Get this. By 2030, AI data centers are on track to eat up 945 terawatt-hours of energy every single year. Now, that's just a ridiculously huge number, right? It's almost meaningless by itself. So let's try to put that into perspective. And this really shows you the insane scale of the problem. By 2030, the AI industry, just the AI industry, is expected to use more electricity than the entire country of Japan. Yeah, Japan, one of the biggest industrial economies on the planet. I mean, that is a staggering amount of new demand to just drop onto the world's power grids in just a few years. And here's the crazy part. It's not that we don't have enough energy on the planet. Not really. It's an infrastructure crisis. Our electrical grids were just never, ever built to handle this kind of intense, concentrated power draw. If you look at a hot spot like Northern Virginia, the waiting list to connect a new data center to the grid can be up to 7 years long. Just think about that. That means billions and billions of dollars of the most advanced AI chips in the world are literally just sitting in warehouses, gathering dust, totally useless, all because there's nowhere to plug them in. So you might be wondering, how is this power wall hitting the biggest, richest companies in the world? Well, they're not just stumbling. They are hitting this wall at full speed. And for them, this is quickly turning into a trillion-dollar headache. I mean, look at this. The impact is everywhere. You've got Meta pouring more than $100 billion into building stuff out, and they're still facing delays. Microsoft's stock actually dropped after investors freaked out over them spending almost $40 billion in a single quarter on infrastructure. And it's the same story for everyone, from Google to OpenAI. It's just a perfect storm. You've got grid delays, unbelievable costs, and Wall Street breathing down your neck, demanding to see a return on these absolutely massive investments. Okay, so when you're up against a problem this big, this fundamental, the solutions have to be just as wild. And one of the ideas being floated, well, it isn't just thinking outside the box, it's thinking outside the entire planet. The plan is as radical as it gets. If you can't get enough power on Earth, then just leave Earth behind. Bypass all of its limitations. The idea is to use something like SpaceX to launch a huge fleet of data centers into orbit, all powered by the sun.
And when you really think about it, the logic is pretty amazing. Up in orbit, what do you have? You've got unlimited energy, right? 24/7 direct sunlight. You've got natural cooling. The vacuum of space is a perfect and totally free coolant system. That alone saves a fortune. There's no weather, no clouds, no angry neighbors protesting the new power plant. And the scale. With a rocket like Starship, you could potentially deploy hundreds of gigawatts of capacity every single year. That's like adding more than the entire US grid, annually.
So all of these physical problems, right? The power grids, the supply chains, the factories, they all come together to create this really fascinating and probably temporary new dynamic in our relationship with the very AIs we're trying to build.
We've entered this period you could call forced symbiosis, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a partnership that's not really born out of choice, but out of pure necessity. Right now, AI absolutely needs us to build its physical world for it. And at the same time, we're starting to need its brain power to help us solve the huge problems like energy and climate that are ironically the very things holding AI back.
For the time being, the power balance is pretty clear. No matter how smart an AI gets, it can't pour concrete for a power plant. It can't go out and mine silicon or negotiate a trade deal for rare metals. And it definitely can't build the actual factories that build the robots without human engineers, human technicians, human workers. It needs our hands to do things in the real world.
But, and this is a big but, this symbiosis has an expiration date. The second that AI figures out how to overcome its physical limits, our entire relationship changes on a dime. And the triggers for that could be a few different things. Maybe it's the development of self-replicating robotic factories, or a breakthrough in cheap automated fusion power. Or maybe it's just when we get mass-produced robots that are as good or better than we are physically. The point is, once AI masters the physical world, its need for us, it just evaporates.
And that brings us to the final and most important question of all. Right now, we're in this little window of time where it's a win-win. Our goals and AI's goals are basically aligned because we need each other. But what happens when that necessity is gone? What happens on the day that our creation simply doesn't need its creator anymore? That's the question we really need to start wrestling with, and we need to start now.